WarGames. Just saying the name sends a chill down your spine. It's a name that promises something different, something brutal, something unforgettable. It's not just another wrestling match. It's a spectacle of controlled chaos, a story of survival told inside a steel cage that covers 2 rings. For a guy like me who has seen his fair share of brutal matches, WarGames stands out as a true test of a wrestler's heart and soul. It's a structure built for settling the most personal and heated rivalries. The kind of rivalries that can't be contained by a normal ring or a standard set of rules. This is where scores are settled and legends are made. The genius behind this structure, the man who dreamed up this beautiful symphony of destruction, was none other than the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. Dusty wasn't just a wrestler, he was a creator, a storyteller, a visionary. He understood what fans wanted to see better than almost anyone. He knew that sometimes a simple one-on-one match just wasn't enough. When a feud got so big, so intense, it needed a special kind of battleground. Dusty created WarGames to be the ultimate final chapter for those epic stories, the definitive end to a long and bitter war between 2 factions. He gave us a match that was truly larger than life. Dusty's vision was about more than just violence. It was about strategy, teamwork, and drama. He wanted to create an environment where the odds were constantly shifting, where one team could have a huge advantage only to see it slip away. The match was designed to be a roller coaster of emotions for the fans watching. You'd feel hope when your favorite wrestler got the upper hand, and you'd feel dread when they were outnumbered. It was a masterpiece of wrestling psychology, built into the very structure of the match itself. Dusty didn't just invent a match, he invented a whole new way to tell a story in professional wrestling. I have a lot of respect for Dusty, not just for what he did in the ring, but for what he created outside of it. WarGames is a testament to his incredible mind for the business. It's a concept that has stood the test of time, captivating audiences for decades. When you step inside that cage, you're not just stepping into a wrestling match, you're stepping into Dusty's world, a world where the stakes are higher, the pain is realer, and the glory is that much sweeter. It's a legacy that continues to this day, and it all started with the vision of one man, the American Dream. Every great idea has a beginning, a spark of inspiration. For Dusty Rhodes, that spark came from a place you might not expect. It wasn't from watching another wrestling match or studying old fight films. No, the idea for WarGames came to Dusty after he watched a movie. The movie was Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. Now, if you've seen that movie, you know it features a brutal fight inside a giant cage-like dome called the Thunderdome. 2 men enter, 1 man leaves. It was a fight to the finish, a primal struggle for survival. Dusty saw that and a light bulb went off in his head. He saw the raw, visceral energy of the Thunderdome and thought, we can do that in wrestling. He imagined taking that concept and adapting it for our world. He wanted to capture that feeling of being trapped with no escape, where the only way out was to fight. But he wanted to make it bigger. He didn't just want 2 men, he wanted 2 armies. He envisioned 2 teams locked inside a cage, settling a feud that had gone beyond personal. It was about faction warfare, about loyalty, and about which group was the toughest. The inspiration was cinematic, but the application was pure, unfiltered professional wrestling. Dusty took the core idea of a cage battleground and expanded on it. He added a second ring to make the battlefield even larger and more chaotic. This wasn't just about trapping wrestlers, it was about giving them a massive arena to wage war in. The cage itself was a key part of the vision. It wasn't just a fence to keep people in, it was a weapon. It was a brutal fact of life for anyone who stepped inside. You couldn't run, you couldn't hide. The cage was an ever-present participant in the match, and it always left its mark. I know a thing or two about cages, and this one was special. So, from a post-apocalyptic movie came one of the most innovative matches in wrestling history. It's a great example of how inspiration can come from anywhere. Dusty Rhodes had the creative mind to see a connection between a sci-fi action film and the world of professional wrestling. He borrowed the concept of a brutal enclosed fight and turned it into something uniquely our own. He didn't just copy it, he transformed it. He gave it rules, he gave it drama, and he gave it a name that perfectly captured its essence: WarGames. It was a perfect storm of creativity and a deep understanding of what makes wrestling great. The setup for the original WarGames was a sight to behold. It was unlike anything fans had ever seen before. First, you had two wrestling rings placed side by side. Just that alone was a huge deal. It immediately told you that this wasn't going to be a normal night of wrestling. The sheer size of the canvas created a massive battlefield, a sprawling landscape for the violence that was about to unfold. It meant there was no corner to hide in, no safe space. The action could be happening in one ring while another wrestler was recovering in the other, creating a constant sense of motion and chaos for the audience to follow. Then came the cage. This wasn't your standard steel cage that just surrounded one ring. This was a colossal structure. It was one single rectangular cage that enclosed both rings entirely, and to make it even more menacing, it had a roof. That roof was a game changer. It meant there was no escape. You couldn't climb over the top and run away. Once that door was locked, you were in for the duration, whether you liked it or not. For a guy who once got thrown off the top of a cage, the idea of a roof just adds another layer of claustrophobia and terror. It completely seals you off from the outside world. The teams were another crucial part of the formula. This wasn't a free-for-all. It was an organized war between two factions, usually with 4 or 5 members on each side. These weren't just random collections of wrestlers. They were groups bound by a common cause, usually a shared hatred for the other team. This team-based structure was essential to the storytelling. It was about loyalty, strategy, and sacrifice. Would a wrestler risk himself to save a teammate? Who was the weak link? These questions added so much drama to the match, making it more than just a random brawl. The rules for the teams were simple but effective. You had 2 opposing sides ready to go to war. The match would start with one wrestler from each team. This set the initial tone, a one-on-one battle in the calm before the storm. But everyone knew that calm wouldn't last. The structure was designed for maximum drama, to build suspense until all hell broke loose. The 2 rings, the massive cage with a roof, and the 2 warring teams. All these elements came together to create the perfect environment for what Dusty Rhodes called the match beyond. It was a stage set for pure, unadulterated conflict. The way a WarGames match begins is a masterclass in building suspense. It doesn't start with a wild 10-man brawl. It starts much slower, much more deliberately. As I mentioned, the match kicks off with one member from each team entering the cage. The door is locked, and for the first 5 minutes, it's a straight-up one-on-one match. This initial period is crucial. It sets the stage and gives the fans a taste of the animosity between the 2 teams. It's the calm before the storm, a chance for 2 wrestlers to fight for an early advantage before the chaos truly begins. You can feel the tension in the air, knowing what's coming next. After those first 5 minutes, things get interesting. The advantage goes to one of the teams, decided by a coin toss that usually happened before the event. This is what they called the advantage. The team that won the toss would get to send their second member into the cage. Suddenly, the match becomes a 2-on-1 handicap match. For 2 full minutes, one wrestler is completely at the mercy of 2 opponents. Those 2 minutes can feel like an eternity. It's a brutal, punishing period where the lone wrestler has to do everything they can just to survive until help arrives. Once those 2 minutes are up, the other team gets to send in their next wrestler to even the odds. Now it's 2-on-2. There's a brief moment of equilibrium, but it doesn't last long. The match continues with these timed entries. After another 2 minutes, the team with the advantage sends in their third member, making it 3-on-2. Then the other team evens it up again, making it 3-on-3. This staggered entry system is the heart of WarGames. It creates a constant ebb and flow, a back and forth struggle for control inside the cage. The momentum shifts with every new entrant. This process continues until every member of both teams has entered the cage. The final wrestler comes in, and for the first time, the teams are at full strength. It's 5-on-5 or 4-on-4, depending on the match. At this point, the bell rings to signal the official start of the next phase of the match. This is when the match beyond truly begins. All 10 men are locked inside that unforgiving structure, and the only way to win is to make someone from the other team give up. The staggered entries are over, and now it's just a fight to the finish. In the original WarGames, there was only one way to win. It wasn't by pinfall. You couldn't pin your opponent's shoulders to the mat for a 3 count. That was just too simple, too clean for a match this brutal. It wasn't by disqualification either, because, let's be honest, there were no rules to break. Anything and everything was legal inside that cage. The only way to achieve victory in the classic WarGames was to make a member of the opposing team submit. You had to make them say, "I quit," or pass out from a submission hold. It was a battle of wills as much as it was a physical contest. This submit or surrender rule was what made the match so psychologically grueling. It wasn't enough to just beat your opponent physically. You had to break their spirit. You had to inflict so much pain, so much punishment, that they had no choice but to give up for the sake of their team. This, folks, raised the stakes immensely. A pinfall is a momentary defeat, but a submission is a complete surrender. It's an admission that the other team is better, tougher, and more resilient. The entire team would lose because one of their members couldn't take any more. That's a heavy burden for any wrestler to carry. This rule created some incredibly dramatic moments. You'd see a wrestler trapped in a painful hold, trying desperately not to quit while their teammates were being held back, unable to help. The focus of the entire match would narrow down to that one moment of struggle. Would he tap out? Would he pass out? The drama was intense. It also meant that the match wouldn't end until one side was thoroughly and decisively beaten. There were no fluke victories in WarGames. You had to earn your win by systematically dismantling the other team until one of them finally broke. Over the years, as the match evolved, this rule started to change. In some of the later WCW versions, especially towards the end, the rules became a bit muddled. They introduced pinfalls, or sometimes a wrestler could win by escaping the cage, which, honestly, went against the original spirit of the match. These changes were, in my opinion, a mistake. They took away the definitive spirit-breaking finish that made WarGames so special. The submit or surrender rule was the soul of the match, and when you took that away, you lost a piece of what made it the ultimate test of survival. Old school versus new school, the evolution of war. When WWE brought WarGames back for their NXT brand, they knew they had to honor the legacy of the match. But they also put their own spin on it, making some key changes to the original formula. Perhaps the most noticeable change is the cage itself. The classic NWA and WCW cage had a roof, which was a defining feature. It made the structure feel like a prison. The modern WWE and NXT version does not have a roof. This allows for more high-flying moves off the top of the cage. It's a trade-off. You lose some of the claustrophobic feel, but you gain the potential for some spectacular, high-risk moments that modern fans love. Another significant change is how you can win the match. As we discussed, the original rule was submission or surrender only. This was the heart and soul of Dusty's creation. The NXT version, however, allows for a victory by pinfall. Once all participants have entered the cage and the match beyond begins, a wrestler can pin an opponent to win the match for their team. This change speeds up the potential finish of the match and aligns it more with the style of modern WWE. While some purists, and maybe even a guy like me, prefer the submission-only rule, the pinfall does create exciting, frantic scrambles to break up a pin attempt. The structure of the rings is also slightly different. The original setup had 2 rings standing completely separate, side by side. The modern WWE version pushes the 2 rings together, eliminating the gap between them. This creates one large, continuous surface to wrestle on. It makes the action a little more contained and less spread out. There's no man's land between the rings where wrestlers could fall or get trapped. It turns the 2 rings into one giant super ring, which changes the dynamic of how wrestlers use the space. It's a subtle change, but it affects the flow of the match. Finally, there's the addition of weapons. While the original WarGames certainly wasn't clean, and wrestlers would use the cage itself as a weapon, the modern version often has weapons like tables, chairs, and kendo sticks introduced into the match. When a wrestler's time is up to enter, they often grab a weapon from under the ring to bring into the cage with them. This adds another layer of hardcore brutality to the proceedings, something I can certainly appreciate. These changes, from the cage to the winning conditions, have updated WarGames for a new generation, while still trying to keep the core spirit of faction warfare alive and well. WarGames wouldn't be the legendary match it is without the iconic rivalries that were settled inside its walls. The match was created for the biggest and baddest feuds, and it delivered some of the most memorable battles in wrestling history. The very first WarGames in 1987 is a perfect example. It featured Dusty Rhodes, Nikita Koloff, the Road Warriors, and Paul Ellering taking on the Four Horsemen, Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard, Lex Luger, and their manager, J.J. Dillon. This wasn't just a match, it was a war between the two biggest forces in the NWA. The hatred was real, and the action was brutal, setting the standard for all WarGames to come. The Four Horsemen became synonymous with WarGames. They were the perfect villains for this type of match, arrogant, dominant, and willing to do whatever it took to win. Their feuds with Dusty Rhodes and his allies defined the early years of the match. Every time the Horsemen stepped inside that cage, you knew you were going to see a fight. Their matches against teams led by Sting, Lex Luger, and other top babyfaces were the main events that sold out arenas. The image of Ric Flair, his blonde hair stained red with blood, is one of the most enduring images of WarGames, a symbol of the price of battle. As we moved into the WCW era, the tradition continued with new rivalries. One of the most famous WarGames matches from this period was in 1992 at WrestleWar. It pitted Sting's squadron against Paul E. Dangerously's Dangerous Alliance. That match is often considered one of the greatest WarGames of all time. It was a violent, bloody, and dramatic affair that culminated in Sting forcing Steve Austin to submit. It was a brutal end to a long feud and showcased a new generation of stars like Sting and a young, stunning Steve Austin, who would later become a household name. This match proved the format was still as powerful as ever. When NXT brought the match back, it created a new set of classic rivalries. The feud between the Undisputed Era and their various rivals became the modern-day equivalent of the Horsemen's dominance. Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, Kyle O'Reilly, and Bobby Fish were practically made for WarGames. Their matches against teams like the Authors of Pain and Roderick Strong before he joined them, or the team led by Pete Dunne, were instant classics. They reintroduced the match to a new generation of fans and proved that the formula of team-based hatred inside a giant cage is timeless. These feuds are what give WarGames its meaning. What makes WarGames so unique? It's not just one thing, it's the combination of all its parts. First and foremost, it's the sheer scale of it. 2 rings and a giant steel cage. No other match in mainstream wrestling has that kind of footprint. When you see the structure set up in the arena, you immediately know something special is about to happen. It's an attraction in and of itself. It's not just a gimmick, it's an environment. It creates a feeling of spectacle that matches like Hell in a Cell or the Elimination Chamber, as great as they are, just can't replicate in the same way. The visual alone sets it apart. The staggered entry system is another key element that makes it unique. Most multi-man matches, like a Royal Rumble or a Battle Royal, are about individual survival. WarGames is different because it's about team survival, but with a constantly shifting power dynamic. The 2-on-1 and 3-on-2 situations create genuine drama and suspense. It's a strategic element that you don't see in other matches. Does the outnumbered wrestler try to fight, or do they just try to survive? How does the team with the advantage press their numbers game? This is a level of storytelling that is built right into the rules of the match. WarGames is also unique because it is fundamentally a team-based match from start to finish. Other team matches like Survivor Series use an elimination format that breaks the teams down over time. In WarGames, the teams build up. The match doesn't truly begin until both teams are at full strength. This puts the focus squarely on faction warfare. It's about which group is the most cohesive unit, which team has the better strategy, and which side is willing to sacrifice more for the victory. It's the ultimate test of a stable's dominance and a perfect blow-off for a feud that has involved a large group of wrestlers. Finally, the match has its own unique pacing. It starts slow with a one-on-one encounter, builds a crescendo of chaos with the staggered entries, and then explodes into an all-out war in the match beyond. It's a three-act structure contained within a single wrestling match. This pacing takes the fans on a journey. They feel the tension building with every new entrant. They feel the desperation of the outnumbered wrestlers and the elation when the odds are evened. It's not just a collection of moves, it's a story that unfolds over 30 or 40 minutes, making the final victory feel that much more earned and significant. So why do we still love WarGames after all these years? Why does it still hold such a special place in the hearts of wrestling fans? I think it's because WarGames represents everything we love about professional wrestling, turned up to 11. It's about larger-than-life characters locked in an epic struggle between good and evil. It's about loyalty, betrayal, and the fight for survival. The match provides the perfect backdrop for these timeless stories. It's a canvas for brutality, but also for heroism. It's a place where legends are born and feuds come to a definitive, violent end. The match is a tribute to the genius of Dusty Rhodes. It's one of his greatest gifts to the wrestling business, a concept so strong that it has survived for decades across different companies in different eras. Every time that cage is lowered, it's a reminder of Dusty's vision and his understanding of what makes wrestling compelling. He knew that fans wanted to see their heroes overcome impossible odds, and he created a match that was built entirely around that idea. The legacy of WarGames is inextricably linked to the legacy of the American Dream himself, and that's a powerful thing. For the wrestlers, WarGames is a badge of honor. I've been in some tough matches in my day, but the guys who go through WarGames earn a special kind of respect. It's a physically and mentally draining experience. You're locked in a cage for over half an hour with a group of men who want to tear you apart. To survive it, let alone win it, is a major accomplishment. It's a career highlight for many wrestlers, a sign that they've been in a true war. It's the kind of match that you remember for the rest of your life, and the bumps and bruises are the souvenirs to prove it. Ultimately, WarGames endures because it delivers on its promise. The name itself promises a war, and that's exactly what you get. It's chaotic, it's brutal, and it's unforgettable. It's a spectacle that never gets old. Whether it was the Four Horsemen in the 80s, Sting's Squadron in the 90s, or the Undisputed Era in the modern day, the story remains the same. Two sides enter and one side survives. That simple, powerful concept is why WarGames is, and always will be, one of the greatest match creations in the history of professional wrestling. And for that, we all owe a big thank you to Dusty Rhodes. Have a nice day.